This is Pick One, Pack One, everything you need to get your draft started off right. I am one of your hosts, Gavin McKay, as always, here with my co-host, Paul J. Camo. How you doing, Paul?
Gavin, I'm doing great. I'm a little tired recovering from a crazy weekend at Gen Con, but I'm really, really excited to play some Hobbit Limited.
Absolutely. How was Gen Con? It was it looked pretty crazy there from the videos that you were sending back and some of the stuff I saw on Instagram.
Gen Con was wild. It was a great time. I played a lot of games. I demoed some new stuff that I'm really excited about. I wish I'd had more time to play more games, but so it goes. I'm just really excited now to be home diving into a new limited format, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not every day that you get a follow-up to one of the greatest crossovers. I think we can safely say one of, if not the most popular Universes Beyond collaboration that Wizards has ever done. This set feels right for Magic's setting. And, you know, it's taken a couple of years, but we're going back there to explore more of J.R.R. Tolkien's world and kind of bring these characters to life in this set. I was a huge fan of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings growing up. My dad used to, read it to me as a child, and it's where my love of all things fantasy probably comes from. So this is a very special set to me, and I'm very excited to see how it plays. Hope it ends up really well. Do you have any, anecdotes or anything else that
Gavin, Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite limited formats in Magic's history. I thought they nailed 9 of the 10 archetypes really well, and we'll definitely talk about that 10th archetype because it sort of makes a return here, sort of not. It's got a little different vibe this time around. Let's get into this Hobbit. Let's go on an adventure. I'm excited.
Fittingly, it is, as the Hobbits are, small.
Yes.
So we're going to be kind of tempering our expectations a little bit because typically with the smaller sets like we saw with Spider-Man or TMNT, it doesn't typically lend itself to a very viable or vibrant limited environment. But we're going to give this set, because of our, I guess you could say, rose-colored glasses or our affinity for this IP, we're going to give it the benefit of the doubt. And, we're still going to apply the same techniques, the same critical eye, the same critical lens. We'll call it as we see it, but, we're cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. We're again looking at a set of 193 draft cards. So
that's right.
Just like Spider-Man, very contained. We're looking at 5 archetypes as opposed to 10. When we get into the archetypes, it's interesting to note that we have a mix of allied and enemy color pairs in this format versus what we've seen of all allied color pairs or all enemy colored pairs. So that is a change for us. But let's start by diving into some of these new mechanics. We'll touch base briefly on some returning mechanics, and then we'll get into archetypes and show kind of where the compass is leading us and what our thoughts are on this.
Absolutely. So the first mechanic we want to talk about is kind of a new keyword of sorts. It's a new mechanic that basically cares about the amount of artifacts, legendaries, and sagas you have on the battlefield. In our notes, I put that it's like Metalcraft meets the City's Blessing meets historic. And this mechanic is called storied. And so storied is represented by this card here, Bilfer, Melodic Rider, which is 4 and either a red or a white, 2 red or a white pips for a legendary creature, dwarf bard, 4/5, and it has storied. And storied is if you control 3 or more artifacts, legendaries, and or sagas, you have an enduring story for the rest of the game. So the rest of the text is whenever Bilfer enters or attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. And as long as you have an enduring story, if an ability of a dwarf you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So what do you think about this?
It's also Biffer, so you know, Gavin, there's no L. It's Biffer.
Did I say Bilfer? Biffer.
Yeah, it sounded like you were slipping an L into his name. It's Biffer.
All right. Well, come
It's
at me in
okay.
the comments
We're
for
the both of us are gonna
pronunciations.
have plenty of times to
I'm
mispronounce these dwarf names. There's gonna
I'm
be a
still
lot of
brushing up on my
dwarven names.
dwarvish.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been a while since we've been to the Lord of the Rings, so apologies to Biffer. Excuse me. So anyway, this is historic. So excuse me, storied. So yeah, storied. You said that it's one of those things where it's going to be like the city's blessing, where the city's blessing is if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing and you hold it for the rest of the game. That's similar here, right?
Yeah. It once you're storied, once you have an enduring story, it's not going to go away, which is sweet. I was a fan of kind of all of the mechanics that storied is kind of riffing on. It's riffing on historic, it's riffing on metalcraft, it's riffing on the city's blessing. I liked all of those mechanics. I thought they were all
Very solid
interesting
mechanics.
in the
Yeah.
limited formats that they were in, and this is a cool fusion of those in an interesting way. So I think it's
Right.
going to be solid, and I'm looking forward to playing this in context.
Yeah, and this being a smaller set, along with universes beyond, there are going to be an abnormal amount of legendaries. Maybe not as much as some other sets that we've had recently, but there's still going to be quite a few legendaries, so it shouldn't be too
What
difficult to get this.
what is the count on legendaries, Gavin? Just
In this
so
set,
we
there
can,
are
yeah.
55 legendaries, including artifacts. So there's
Okay.
actually 7 artifacts that are legendary artifacts. And so the actual number of legendaries in the Hobbit draft environment is actually 48.
When it
So,
comes to legendary creatures.
right.
Yep.
So, if you're looking at the total amount, which is 196, and then there's 48 legendaries, about, I would say, a fourth or a third between there is going to be legendaries. Plus, you have some sagas. Plus, you have some other artifacts. So it shouldn't be too hard to make it story, but it's just going to be hard enough to where you have to actively kind of engage it and look for it.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that. The other cool thing about this is that all of the storied, all of the creatures that have storied on them are the dwarves from the party from the Hobbit. So they're all in red white. So just be on the lookout for that. If they're a dwarf, most likely they care about the storied mechanic and the enduring story.
Cool. What's our next new
So
one?
next on the list is recruit. You want to take this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So recruit is an ability that says you're going to do something, it's going to trigger recruit. And recruit is draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded a non-land card, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. And we can very easily draw a connection between this and Connive, where instead of putting a +1/+1 counter on the thing, we're creating a 1/1 body on the field. So very, very easy to draw a connection between those two. Our example here is Patient Instructor. This is 2 and a white or blue hybrid for a 2/2 creature human citizen with vigilance. And he says, when this creature enters, recruit.
Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Yeah. I
Simple
mean,
and straightforward.
I like the change up here because as we'll see later, there are archetypes in this set that care about drawing your second card in a turn. So recruiting is a good way to do that. And then you also get the modality of, do I need a creature now, or can I filter through excess lands? And that kind of helps the game. You can get through those pockets of additional lands possibly. And it doesn't have a negative kind of villainous connotation like it does for connive. Conniving, feels a little bit, evil, or
Definitely
something
felt
that's a little bit,
appropriate. Definitely felt appropriate in a Spider-Man setting with
yeah. Or
villains.
Marvel's
Or
superheroes
Marvel,
also
yeah.
has some conniving, but this one you're recruiting, you're gathering people to you. You're adding to your ranks, and so that feels more It feels less like a black or a red mechanic, and is more of a white or a blue mechanic. So I like that change a lot. I think it's a nice design flourish for sure.
Totally.
The last mechanic, the new mechanic that we want to talk about, is hone, and this is only on a couple of cards, right, Paul?
It's only on 2 rares.
Yeah.
The
So
exciting
you don't have
one,
to. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it too much, but it is something that you should just be aware of.
yeah, the
And it's
exciting
on
one and the one that's going to get you is right here.
right, Sting Bilbo's sword, which iconic, you know. Sting Bilbo's sword is 2 for a legendary artifact, one of those legendary artifacts that I mentioned earlier, equipment that has flash. And when it enters, you put a hone counter on Sting for each creature target opponent controls. So you attach Sting to one target creature you control. And it also has equip for 3. So basically, you flash this in, and in limited, 1v1. If your opponent's got a couple creatures, or 3 or more, this is going to instantly allow you to like trade up with a lot of things, and then kind of be a bone splitter at like probably at its base. Bone
Yeah.
splitter being a +2/+0 equipment. I think that was from Mirrodin too, one of the first sets that I ever played. But basically, on an empty board or when you're ahead, this probably isn't very good. But if you're behind, you can flash this in and at least trade up.
Even at parity, this is going to be solid, allowing you to turn something small into something that's going to
be
hit with some
relevant.
force. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Putting this on a lifelinker would be really good as well. Swing some tides.
I'm really looking to take maximum advantage of this with the white 2-drop that has double strike.
Mm-hmm.
So just turning that into 1/2 eat your best things.
Yeah,
sounds exactly
that flash
like what I want
seems
to do.
good.
Yeah.
Sounds really good. There are a few returning mechanics as well. We'll just go over those briefly because, like we said, these have been in other sets before, and you can
And there's a lot of
find them. Yeah, there's a lot of them, but they're spread out. There's not really that many cards with each of these. I think the most is 17 for this returning mechanics, which is the first one we're going to talk about, which is adventures. Adventures being that there's a split card, and you can cast the adventure side first to put the card on an adventure, and then you can cast the second half of the card later on, or you could just cast the second half of the card. It's usually a creature, so you can cast the instant or sorcery spell side on the adventure side, and then later on you can cast the creature card. So instantly, like a 2-for-1 on a card, which is brilliant. It's actually one of my favorite mechanics. That, and just anything that kind of gives you additional value over time, or something that you can do that turns one piece of cardboard into 2 pieces of cardboard.
Yeah.
You want to take the next one, Paul?
Any of the split mechanics, like that, prepared, any of those that we've seen, I've been big fans of. The next mechanic is very similar to something we've seen before. This is a mass is returning with a twist. We're now amassing goblins and not orcs or zombies or something else.
Yeah.
So
you can change the creature type, but you can't really change the mechanic.
Yeah, the mechanic is staying the same, but what we're caring about entering the battlefield and what's going to be on the battlefield is going to be different.
Yeah, and there's 14 amass cards, mostly in black and red. So just be aware of that. After that, we have landfall with 10 cards. Landfall just means whenever a land enters the battlefield, something happens. So just keep your eye on those. There are a couple fetch lands.
Landfall.
There's a couple fetch lands that evolving wild style lands, and a couple ways to ramp lands as well, that you can find in the set. So it's possible to get a couple of landfall triggers in a turn, and in fact, elves are going to be the ones that care. The green creatures are going to care and have the most landfall printed on them. So just be aware of that as well. Lastly, we have one of the major ones is sagas.
And this
sagas,
is
Paul?
Something that I'm very excited for. We have 8 sagas in this format. And all of the sagas in this format are songs from The Hobbit. So you have probably heard these if you've ever watched the 1977 animated Hobbit. I'm sure if I say down, down to Goblin Town, if you're old like me, you're triggering memories of your childhood when the goblins show up to take them from where they were staying to get out of the rain. And all of these have a cool song and a cool story moment from the book. I thought this is a brilliant way to capture your lore, create cool abilities for limited and constructed potentially, and just this is a flavor win out of the park for me personally. I love
Definitely.
that
And I
they
love
did
the art.
this.
The art on these sagas is so beautiful. Reminds me a lot of the illustrated Hobbit book that I read when I was a kid, and just imagining, all of the adventures that they were going on and returning to. So,
Yeah,
very nostalgic for me. And obviously, sagas, what they are is basically just a story book, right? And you start on chapter one, and then you move down the different chapters each main phase. So
yeah.
every main
Notably,
phase, there's a new one.
Gavin, notably, 4 chapters on each of these sagas, except
Except
for
for
the
the
Mountain
Mountain King's
King's
Return. That's
Return.
only 3. Yeah.
Yep.
But they're all also all rares or uncommons. So you may not see these as frequently as you see, the commons for sure. But they are all pretty powerful, I would say, and keep an eye for them.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out
They
for
could
them.
potentially be a reason to be in a color, depending on the saga that you're looking at, or they're a good solid pick when you're already in the color and they come around.
Absolutely. Yeah. The most expensive one is 4 mana. So you're going to be playing this usually on turn 2 or turn 3. So it's going to be a nice value engine over time, which is what sagas have always been, and I think it's a really nice touch for this set. There's a couple other things that are in the set as well that we just wanted to mention briefly. The ferocious keyword is there, which is basically means that it cares about creatures power 4 or greater. There's a couple cards that care about creatures power 4 or greater. There's 1 or 2 affinity cards, specifically affinity for elves, I believe. So just affinity means that it costs less for each of the type of thing that it has. So affinity for artifacts would be how many artifacts you have, and then subtract that. Same thing with elves. Count the number of elves, subtract it from the casting cost.
Yep.
There's also kicker, but everything is kicker.
there is kicker. There could be 1 or 2 other things peppered throughout. So I would just, when you're looking at the spoiler, when you're looking at your cards, especially at pre-release, if you don't remember what an ability is and it's not spelled out on the card with reminder text, raise a hand, call for a judge, have them explain to you what the mechanic does if you don't remember. Pre-release is always a chill time, so it's always worth it to take that extra time, remember what the cards do with help, and play the game as it should be, and not play it wrong.
Absolutely, yeah. Adventure can be intimidating for newer players. I remember when I first started playing adventures, I was like, where does this go? It doesn't stay in my hand. So, where does it go? And it goes in a little exile zone, so make sure you don't forget about it on your adventure. If you have a card that you can cast, from that exiled zone, you should be able to do. I know Arena makes it really easy, keeps it kind of apart from your hand, but on the side. But in paper, make sure you remember that you've got that card in exile so that you don't
either put the on an adventure reminder card out there, or put it somewhere where it's easy for you to see. I like tucking it under a playmat, potentially sticking under my playmat, sticking out in between myself and my opponent as a reminder, potentially. But there's other ways to do it. Whatever makes sense for you. Just don't forget it.
Absolutely.
You're throwing away value. Don't
throw away value. No, don't want to do that. Okay, so we're gonna hop right into these draft archetypes now. Like we said, there are only 5, and they're not ally or enemy colors. They're kind of split down the middle of both. So it's just going to be representative of each of these factions as opposed to kind of what we were seeing earlier with Lorwyn, or other, 5-color sets, like Strixhaven. These are going to be these are the 5 kind of archetypes. It seems more like a typal or a tribal set than it does a specifically curated experience. I would say that it's more of a typal set for sure.
It does seem that each of the archetypes does have a thing that it's trying to do, though. We're looking at 2 allied color pairs and 3 enemy colored pairs. So we're looking at, real quick, we're looking at white blue humans, we're looking at black red goblins, black green wolves, red white dwarves, and blue green elves making a return from Lord of the Rings. But
That's
here,
right.
potentially juiced in a little different direction. We're not caring about scrying. We're caring about other things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that was the one archetype I think that was really kind of underpowered and almost unplayable in the first Lord of the Rings set. So it's nice to see that elves are going to get come back here, and hopefully they can do a little better, because I really wanted to play it felt bad that my Legolas was unplayable.
yeah.
I really wanted to shoot my bow and feel like a cool elf archer.
You really,
All right.
you really needed the pool that was like all rares to play blue green elves in Lord of the Rings. It just had to be
Absolutely.
Magical Christmas Land of rares to justify being in that archetype then. But
well, let's go right down the list. Yeah. So first up, we have the Azorius, or a white blue archetype, which is the humans. You want to read this one, Paul?
Yeah. So our first signpost is Bard the Bowman. He is 1 white and blue for a legendary creature, human archer. He's a 1/3. He has reach. And whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains lifelink until end of turn. So
nice.
The humans are going to be the recruit archetype. They're going to be going wide, drawing an extra card, taking advantage of those extra draw triggers, and building a board presence potentially.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even if you're putting the 1/1 counter on itself, then it becomes a 2/4 with lifelink until end of turn, with reach. I mean, that's, first of all, that's very flavorful.
Yeah.
as far as flavor goes. But then also, you're using that mechanic, which is typically, conniving, but it's not conniving, it's recruiting, and you're, creating additional 1/1s possibly if you don't like the spell, that's in your hand, or there's a useless spell in your hand or something that you can't cast, maybe.
Yeah.
And you can just get some value out of it.
Also, look at this story moment, Gavin.
Yeah.
This is
incredible.
Bard defending Lake Town. Lake Town is on fire. Smog is attacking.
Yeah.
He's got his bow there. I don't know if that's the black arrow at that particular moment, but it sure looks like it. Read that flavor text for us.
No one had dared face the dragon for many an age, nor would they have dared now if it hadn't been for the grim-voiced bard urging them on. Just epic, totally epic. I mean, just iconic, and I think this is going to be a very strong archetype, because any archetype that focuses on drawing extra cards is usually pretty good. Filtering through your deck is pretty good. Even if you're just getting rid of excess lands and not flooding out, it makes things a lot better. And so I really enjoy the draw 2 archetype, or drawing your second card archetype. It's generally pretty good and limited, generally.
Yeah.
Okay, so next we have Bolg of the North. Bolg. Yeah. Classic Bolg. He is 5 mana. He's 3, a black and a red, for a legendary creature, Goblin Soldier. When Bolg enters, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Bolg deals damage equal to that creature's power to another target creature. If excess damage was dealt this way, amass Goblin's X, where X is that excess damage. So he's also a 5/5. So Balg is, in typical goblin fashion, going to throw his comrades at the opposition, and if he hits you with more force than they have toughness, it's going to amass some additional forces for you to throw again later. No, this is a very good card. It's a 5 mana 5/5 at its base, and I feel like it's a kind of a 2-for-1 on a stick. It reminds me a little bit of Black Panther from the Marvel set, which is that you can sacrifice a creature to destroy a target non-land permanent. This is a little different because you're sacrificing a creature and it's dealing damage equal to its power. So you already have to kind of be at parity for it to, work, but you can still, snipe something off your opponent's board that's just sitting there and generate additional value as well. I mean, at worst, I think it's probably a 2-for-1, and at best, it's probably going to get you 2 or even 3 cards worth of value out of it.
Yeah, big fan.
All right, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, so the next one is our blue-green archetype. This is Sylvan Reveler. It's 2, a green and a blue for a
Sylvan
creature.
with a Y, Sylvan with an I.
Yes. Silvan, Reveler. And it's a 3/2 creature elf citizen with when this creature enters, draw a card, then discard a card. If you discard a land card this way, put it from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. And
cool.
It also has, if that wasn't great enough, which I think is fantastic, it also has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you may pay 1 green/blue. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. So
nice.
Here is a landfall matters card for a landfall matters deck that just kind of has everything, Yeah.
It's got a lot of value just packed into it. I mean, the fact that when you discard a land, because, that's the most likely thing you're going to be discarding, instead of just getting discarded, it just gets you more value. It's not going to stay in your graveyard. It's going to go right onto the battlefield. And it's drawing you a card.
Yeah. It's drawing a card. It's putting a land into play.
And it's not legendary, so you can have multiples of this. You can almost I don't want to say loop them, but you can kind of loop them a little bit, So these will be good in multiples. It's kind of a steep cost to get it back from your graveyard to your hand, but I don't know how much graveyard hate is in this set. I don't think there's very much. So it's basically pretty free to get this back, I would say.
It's going
to draw you a card when you cast it. So
I feel like they made up for blue-green elves being weak in Lord of the Rings by juicing the heck out of it in this format. I think this is the best uncommon in this set, potentially.
I think it's just going to be really good value. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the next one, which is the Chief Warg. The Chief Warg is 2, a black and a green, legendary creature wolf, 3/3, that has menace. And this one has ferocious. We talked about that earlier. Whenever you attack while you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you draw a card and lose 1 life. This is a 3/3 at its base, but a lot of the wolves, and maybe some of the wolves that we'll talk about later, can pump themselves into 4/4s pretty easily. And there are counters and things like that you can pump itself to become a 4/4. Or not pump itself, but just make it a 4/4 and it'll trigger itself. Because it doesn't care if itself or another creature is power 4 or greater. If any creature you control is power 4 or greater when it attacks. And it's not whenever this creature attacks, it's when you attack. So, if you already have a 4 power creature, you're attacking with something and this comes down, you're immediately going to get that value. I think this is a really great uncommon, perfectly acceptable for a signpost.
The whole black-green archetype is basically going to be built around being ferocious and having ferocious. So looking for those, once you've got this guy or this guy's passed to you, looking at your pool and saying, do I have enough 4-power guys?
Yeah.
To
or
justify
ways to make things
this.
4-power. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the wargs are ferocious in the book, in the movie. Even magic rings were not much use against the wolves, especially against the evil packs that lived near goblin-infested mountains.
Dig it.
Very cool. All right, and then last but not least, you want to take this one, Paul?
Yeah, last but not least, we have the dwarf archetype, which is red-white. And who better to lead your dwarven army than the king under the mountain himself, Thorin Oakenshield. Thorin Oakenshield is a red and a white for a legendary creature dwarf noble. He's a 3/2. He has trample.
Mm-hmm.
Already I'm on board. 2 mana, 3/2 trample. He also has storied. If you control 3 or more artifacts, legendaries, and or sagas, you have an enduring story for the rest of the game. And as long as you do have an enduring story, artifacts and creatures you control have Ward 1.
Nice.
So
if this is coming down on turn 2 and you already have storied, I mean, that's going to be pretty tough. I don't think it's possible to have storied on turn 2 because you need to have, three or more.
3 permanents, yeah.
But if something else, like let's say turn 1 you play an artifact, turn 2 you play Thorin, turn 3 you play another dwarf that's a legendary, and a lot of them are, your stuff basically becomes untargetable for the next couple of turns because your removal is going to cost 2 and your opponent, if you're on the play, it's especially good. But just a 2 mana 3/2 in general
is already great.
Is already above rate, right? So
yeah.
I definitely think that this will be a very solid card. Again, red white in the casting cost, definitely something that may be a little bit harder to get out on turn 2, depending on the level of fixing in the set. But it does appear that Thorin is a very good aggressive card, which is what Boros likes to do. Boros likes to be aggressive, so that tracks for him for sure.
And I feel like recent limited formats have not had a good aggro deck. They've had great mid-range decks, but I don't think we've had a really solid aggressive archetype that I would be going out of my way to be in versus being in like multicolor soup decks or something.
Right.
Whereas I opened some nice red-white dwarves, and I'm probably thinking about heading into
that direction.
A 2-color aggressive deck,
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned that it's a small set. It's going to be about the same size as Spider-Man or TMNT in terms of draftable cards.
So you're going to see a lot of things over and over and over again, and that can either be great or it can be not so great. In the case of Sylvan Reveler,
it's going to be great. But the nice thing about the legendaries in this set is there aren't very many common legendaries like there were in Spider-Man. I think there are only 10 total, or maybe there's 10 in Spider-Man and there's 7 or 8 in this set. And comment in the comment below if I'm wrong and there's more or less. But I don't think we're going to run into as much of a problem as we did with Spider-Man, where you're actively holding 2 or 3 of the best you're the legendary that you drafted 3 of, because it's such a good card that you want to play them, but then they're stuck in your hand as kind of dead cards. There is an artifact in the set that allows you to discard additional additional legendaries. I just wanted to bring that up as well.
Yeah, I think this is a really neat way to address the problem of having a small set with a lot of legendaries. Having
Key to the Side Door is the name of the card, and it's 1 mana, and it has 2 in tap. Target creature can't be blocked this turn, so possibly a finisher. And then 1 tap, discard a legendary card with the same name as a legendary permanent you control. Draw 2 cards. So that's a very neat way. It's an uncommon, so you're not going to see it every draft, but it could be relevant. I think this target creature can't be blocked this turn is also relevant.
Very relevant.
The fact that it's an artifact is also relevant for the fact that storied is a thing. So like I said, a 1 mana artifact could be very very valuable.
This
And
is
then
this is the key piece of your turn 3 story.
I
You
get
play
what you're
this
saying
on
there.
1, you play Thorin on 2, and you play another dwarf that's legendary on 3, and
3, yeah,
you go to the races.
it's very cool. Do you want to talk about a couple cards that you think would be either powerful in the set or ones to keep an eye on?
Well, I think the first thing that we should note off the bat is there are 3 colorless creatures that are going to help with our mana fixing.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So everybody's going to have access to these.
Right here, there's the long-bodied gray dog, which is 3 mana, creature dog with flash and reach. When this creature enters, create a tap treasure token. So this is a dog that will give you a treasure.
Yep.
All dogs are treasures. And it's
all
a 2/2.
dogs are treasures.
Reach. They sure are. There are a few flyers in the set. There's not as many as in some others, but this is one here as well. Old Thrush, 2 mana for a creature bird, colorless, with flying. When this creature enters, you gain 2 life. You may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. And it's a 1/2. So another way to get some of your fixing or some cards into your that you need. If you need a land, you can play this on 2 and get your splash color or whatever to the top. And then last but not least, there is a troop of ponies. You want to read this one, Paul?
This one's my favorite of the 3 of them. It's 2 mana for 2/1 creature horse, and it has 2 tap, sacrifice this creature, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put 1 onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, and then shuffle. The original comparison that I had that we were talking before we started recording was Burnished Heart. I feel like this is quite an upgrade over that.
Much better.
So
instead of 4 mana and 2 tap, it's 2 mana and then 2 tap. So if you're getting mana screwed and you're waiting to hit your 3rd land, I mean, this is the perfect answer for that. I feel like this card will go pretty highly. It just allows you to kind of play all of your colors and make sure that you have the right colors that you need to cast your spells. So just notable. Keep an eye on these 3 cards. They're colorless, so they'll go into any deck.
So in draft, people are going to be prioritizing this if they're going to be trying to play a multicolor soup pile of any kind, or blending 2 archetypes together if possible.
Absolutely.
So
there's a couple cards that we wanted to talk about just as ones to kind of keep your eye on. Paul, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so the first one that really caught my eye, and this is a gotcha moment for people, so when you're playing your matches, bear it in mind. This is Desolation Prowler. It's 1 and a black for a 2/2 creature wolf, and it has the ability, pay 2 life. This creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate only once each turn. So please don't run your 2/2 or your 3/3 into this, because your opponent can pay 2 life on your turn to make it into a 4/4 and block. Don't get got.
Right.
I think it's a solid play. It's a solid aggressive play.
Yeah.
It's Putrid Leech in less colors, throwing back to an old reference of an old card. So
it's also a good way of enabling Ferocious, just on a card. So if you play this on 2 and then the Warg, the Snarling Warg the Chief
Warg.
If you play that on 4, you can attack, without even having a power 4 or greater creature if you have this, because you can just activate it. Even if you don't have good attacks, but you have good attacks with the Warg because it's got Menace or something, you can activate it and make it a 4 power thing. But yeah, just be wary when you're attacking into this that they can get you. The card that I wanted to talk about, and elves are making a comeback here, is a rare Thranduil's Company. It's 2, a green and a blue for creature elf soldier, and it's a 3/4. As long as you control another elf, you may play an additional land on each of your turns. And it has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put 2 1/1 counters on target creature you control. It gains vigilance until end of turn. So if this comes down on 4 and you have on turn 4, right, you have 4 lands and you have another elf on the battlefield, any elf, you can immediately make this into a 6/7. Am I reading that right?
5/6.
No, because you can put because if you can play an additional land, if you have 2 land drops that you can make.
Well,
7,
if you're playing this on 4, Gavin, you're gonna have played your 4th land already, so you're gonna have made a land drop before it comes in.
If you have so at minimum it's gonna be a 5/6.
Yes,
at minimum, maybe if you're making this additional land drop. But if you play it on turn 5 after you already have 4 lands out, and you can make 2 additional land drops, you can make it on turn 5 a 7/8, which is really good for 4 mana.
Oh yeah.
So and then it can put the counters on itself. It can put the counters on other creatures as well. So spread out your threats. I think this is not only like a kill on sight, like it's like a kill on sight threat, but also because it's landfall, you don't really get priority. Like you get priority after it enters if there's a trigger or something, but you have to kill this as soon as you get priority because it will snowball out of control very fast.
Yeah, you definitely want to deal with it as soon as possible. But it's also going to be an uphill battle for you because they can spread the counters out on other things also.
Yeah. It's just
you're
a
going to
really
be on the back
annoying
foot.
card.
We'll put it that way. Yeah, there's a lot of cardboard here in this one rectangle. So
and the fact that it gives vigilance as well, to make attacks better is also extremely relevant. I mean, it really only has to stay out on the battlefield for 1 turn to put 4 counters on stuff and swing the tide in your favor. And there's not to mention that there are fetch lands in this set as well. So if you have like a fetch land like the Hobbit Hole, or if you have, I think there's one other, the Shire,
rare Elven
Shire
one is going to be the one that's really going to matter. Yeah.
Let's see. What's it called?
Just do type land. Yeah.
So there's Hobbit Hole, which is a fetch land, and Elven Passage. And you can pay 1 life, sacrifice this land, search your library for basic land, and put it on the battlefield, tapped, then shuffled. You may behold an elf if you do untap that land. So this is a rare, but it's really good in the elves deck. Again, this I think Wizards is trying to make up for previous mistakes with the elves. They want to atone for their elvish follies last time, and they've made the elves pretty strong. I also want to talk about Hobbit Hole because it's a common. So it's at worst a evolving wilds, but later in the game you can do something called halfling cycling.
Yeah,
which sounds like Bilbo Baggins and Sam riding a bicycle.
I love it.
Bicycle. Halfling cycling. So it's halfling cycling 4. You can discard this card and search your library for a halfling card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. So this can grab a few things from the set. Again, you're most likely just going to use it as a fetch land, either to trigger additional landfall or, for some other purpose.
Get your lands, fix your mana.
If you're going to thin your deck out, but obviously having 2 of these and you have your Thranduil's Company out, that's going to be pretty much game over. I would say there's not much your opponent can do at that time. So it looks like there are there's a company in each color as well. So there's Bard's Company, Bollig's Company, Chief Warg's Company, Dane's Company. They're all rares, so just look out for that. I'll just go over them just so we can see all of them together. Bard's Company is 2, a white and a blue for a creature, human, citizen. You may cast a spell if this had flash. If you control a human, other creatures you control get +1/+1 whenever this creature enters or attacks. Recruit. So this is gonna just rip through your deck. And very
it's
good.
2/3.
It's a 2/3.
It's a 2/3 body for 4 mana. So
yeah, very good. Bollig's Company. You want to take that one, Paul?
Yeah, Bollig's Company is a black and a red for a 2/2 creature goblin soldier. This creature has haste as long as you control another goblin, and tap, sacrifice another goblin, add black red. I like
Nice.
that. You can get in the red zone if you've played a 1-drop. You can also just start immediately sacking things and making mana.
Yep. Yeah. I don't want to say it pays for itself, but you can definitely use it to ramp out some bigger things the turn after you play it, or maybe even the turn you play it if you wanted to get another 2-drop out there.
Yeah.
Chief Warg's Company. Chief Warg's Company is 1, a black and a green for a creature wolf with trample. This creature can't attack unless you control 2 or more other wolves. And at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. It's a 5/3. So this is really good.
It
It
has
makes the
ferocious,
creatures.
and it enables ferocious on its own.
It does. Yep. And
Even
it
if it
makes a
can't
2/2
attack, it's
each turn.
going to make friends each turn. So,
Yep.
yeah.
And they're not small friends either. They're kind of big friends. If this thing sticks around for 2 or 3 turns, it's going to become pretty insurmountable as well.
Yeah.
If you have a Chief Warg and a Thranduil's Company, watch out. Last but not least, we have Dane's Company. You want to read that one, Paul?
Yeah, that's a red and a white for a 2/2 dwarf warrior creature. This creature has lifelink as long as you control another dwarf. When this creature enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a dwarf or equipment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the remaining on the bottom of your library in a random order.
Cool. Yeah, so
we were looking to be aggressive with dwarves.
Fetch effect.
Yeah, this is
it's going to filter out your lands, and you're going to play low to the ground, so it's going to be nice and aggressive, and I think
keep the
should be very
flowing.
serviceable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. So
I would like to note that these are not legendary.
Right.
So you can play them in multiples. I could see the hilarious thing of playing 1-drop goblin into Bolg's Company, into sacrifice the 1-drop thing and play a second copy of Bolg's Company. If I'm Definitely. Being magical Christmas landy for a moment there.
Mm-hmm. If I was going to rank them in terms of power level, I would still say Thranduil's Company is the most powerful, but Chief Warg and Bards are probably 2 and 3 close behind. And then for the colors that they're representing, red, black, and red, white, Dane's and Bolg's Company are both, doing the thing that your deck wants to do, which is, get more goblins out or get equipment and dwarves out.
All 5 of these are doing the thing you wanted to do. What I would say, Gavin, as far as power rankings with these, I agree Thranduil's Company is number 1, but I would put these other 4 neck and neck for each other. It's going to really depend on how well you've built your deck and how well you're drafting around them on the fly to maximize their value,
Yeah. Well, what I would say that kind of puts things kind of into perspective is the Chief Warg is only 3 mana and can instantly block it. It can only not attack if you don't have 2 or more other wolves. And then, obviously Bard's Company basically at its baseline is going to be flashed in, and it's going to be a 2/3 and maybe a 2/2. So flash 2/3 is already pretty good, but flash 5 toughness worth of stuff, for 4 mana,
potentially,
that's pretty good too. And it draws you a card deeper to an answer or something else. I mean, typically, if this is your only human on the board, you're not building your deck correctly. So, by turn 4 or whatever, if this is your only human, it's still good. You're still going to, get your value out of it, but yeah, it definitely is better on the flash side of it as well.
All of these are definitely pushing you to draft and or build smart, be in the appropriate typal archetype, things like that.
I would definitely say Thranduil's kill on sight, though. Don't wait on that one.
Yeah,
because you're not gonna get another chance.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are kind of some of the archetypes of the Hobbit. I think this set is going to be sneaky good. When I say sneaky good, I mean it's going to be a lot more deep than people may be giving it credit for being a 5 archetype small set.
I'm going to go out on a limb, Gavin. This is going to be
Yeah.
the best small set we've had.
You think so?
I think this is the first small set, the first 5 archetype small set that they've gone and kind of done their homework
Corrected
on.
some of the mistakes.
And yeah, like, I think it is easier to make work a 5 archetype set that cares about typal things. Granted, there's going to be overlaps in draft where people are going to be fighting each other for some archetypes, especially if one archetype is potentially the best. Looking at you, blue-green elves, potentially.
Possibly.
But
there's also, I forgot to mention this, but there's also Settle the Wreckage in here, so be aware of that in your pre-release. Settle the Wreckage is 4 mana, 2 and 2 white for an instant. Exile all attacking creature target player controls. That player may search their library for that many basic lands, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So, just if you can play around Settle the Wreckage, you probably should play around Settle the Wreckage.
It's 4 mana. If they're representing 2 white, untapped, yeah.
And they're kind of goading you into attacking. If they're like, hey, you should attack me.
Yeah.
I think that might be a sign. It's a rare, so you won't see it every game, but just be aware that it's out there. I'm just excited to play the set. I think this is going to be a really good one. I don't know. It might be better than Marvel Superheroes too. I don't know. It's like one of those things where the IP just meshes so well with Magic's environment. I think it kind of also makes up a little bit for maybe the smallness of the set is just the flavor continues to produce results. And
absolutely,
folks who were a little bit hesitant on Lord of the Rings in the first place as external IP that have played the set that I know personally have been pining for another Lord of the Rings set. I mean, they've really enjoyed playing it, even if they're not a big fan of Universes Beyond or non-Magic sets, non-internal Magic sets. In general, they've still thought that this is a good in-universe kind of representation of Magic and fantasy.
Well, flavor-wise, Gavin, this is Magic adjacent. It's its own fantasy world.
It's got a card called Wizard Staff.
Yeah. Middle Earth and Dominaria are like 2 sides of a similar coin.
Yeah.
They definitely have similar vibes to one another. So flavor-wise, I feel like they've done the lore homework. The sagas all being songs had me. I was like, okay, they've got the lore piece down. Let's see how our limited format plays out. Let's see if it's good. And I'm very, very positive on this so far. Talk to me 10 drafts in, I might have a different opinion, but I'm very high on this compared to every other small set that we've seen. I've been very down on small sets. I've been very down on 5 archetype sets, and I feel like this is going to deliver something better than we've experienced yet.
One thing I also didn't talk about during this is there are a lot of bears in this set. There's Little Bear, Gigantic Bear.
And you don't mean bear. A 2 mana 2/2 when you're talking about bears. We have to specify there. You're talking about creature type bears.
It is a flash 3/2 for 3.
Yeah.
When this creature enters, untap another target creature you control. If that creature is a bear, put a 1/1 counter on it. So it does seem like there's some synergies even beyond the typal synergies that we mentioned. There's spiders, there's bears, there's even a nasty little rabbit that cares about ferocious, and that's kind of a callback to, I don't know, Monty Python as well.
Yeah.
With the rabbit. But it just seems like a really fun set. It looks like there's a lot of character here. I'm very excited to see how it plays out. And who knows, we might be looking back on this and saying, wow, The Hobbit was best set of the year, even though it was a small set. We're not pulling any punches here. We're going to say it exactly as we see it. And, if it stinks, that's going to stink. If it stinks, that's going to be bad. But
if it stinks, it's going to stink. If it's blue, it's going to be blue.
But anyway, we're gonna draft it and find out. Enjoy your pre-releases. I hope you guys enjoyed our pre-release primer. This is a short one because it's a short set, much like the Hobbits. But we're gonna go ahead and sign off here. Do you have any other thoughts, Paul?
I would say shout at us with your opinions on this set when you can. Let us know how your pre-release goes. Let us know what archetypes you think are the best. I'm very high on dwarves to play some aggro given the opportunity, which is not words that I usually put together these days when it comes to limited aggro and me wanting to play it. So I'm very high on this set. I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And,
where can we be found online, Gavin?
Well, we can always be found on Blue Sky. We can be found on Spotify and YouTube at Pick One Pack One Pod, and that's PICK one, the number one, Pack One Pod, all numbers. And shout at us there. We love to hear from you about the set. All right, with that, we're going to pass a turn, move to the end step. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.